Hello, today's Bible study comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 16, and we'll be reviewing verses 15 through 18, and it reads as follows. For know that the household of Stephanas were the first converts in Achaia, and they have devoted themselves to the service of the Lord's people. I urge you, brothers and sisters, to submit to such people and to everyone who joins in the work and labors at it. I was glad when Stephanas, Fortunatus, and Achaeus arrived, because they have supplied what was lacking from you, for they refreshed my spirit and yours also. Such men deserve recognition. Now, Paul is talking about these three particular people, Stephanas, Fortunatus, and Achaeus. And they were the ones who brought the questions from the Corinthians to Paul, in case you're wondering. They were the travelers that got the questions to Paul. And Paul sent them back with the letter. These were the deliverers of the letter also. And Paul was saying, hey, make sure you receive them as workers of the Lord. They were working for the Lord to bring this message back to you. Not only did they take it and bring it, but they also brought the response back to you. And Stephanus was the head of this household, and Fortunatus and Achaeus were two of the household slaves who accompanied him on his visit to Paul. They went with him. Stephanus was the head guy, but Stephanus, uh, I hate to say owned, but it was a slave owner of Fortunatus and Achaeus who went with them. And they were either slaves or freed men, but they were former slaves. Fortunatus um, was mentioned before, and he is, like I said, one of the ones from Stephanus' household. And then he says they refreshed his spirit. Um, Paul was saying, hey, this was good for me to see. I am grateful that they came and they're coming, because they helped him out. They were ministering to Paul and his needs when they came to see him, and we all need that. Please do not think that we all don't need that. Somebody needs to minister to everybody. Your pastor, whatever title may have, everybody needs to be ministered to. And they did some things for the Corinthian church that the Corinthian church should have done, but they didn't. And they helped not only get the questions to, but also get the response to. So Paul is grateful for what they did for him, the sacrifice they made to do the journey to get the letter to him and back. And they were doing what the Corinthian church actually should have been doing, but they were not lacking. So Paul says, hey, give them some credit. And he said, hey, Stephanus' household, give it some credit. And why should you give them credit? Not just because they did that, but because they were among the first saved in your area. They had the faith and they kept working. They were still servants. And if you remember, Paul baptized them way back in the beginning of the book. I think it's the first or second chapter. But Paul baptized them, so he knew them and they knew Paul, and they were still faithful unto the Lord. And Paul is telling them, acknowledge these men and what they do, and show them some respect, acknowledgement. And don't forget, we all minister to one another. And Paul even needed to be ministered to, and they ministered to Paul. Amen.